Hi everyone, it's Adam 7 Fish Tanks, and in today's video we're doing a iwagumi setup for this 15 litre scaper tank. I'm really excited to get this tank done. I haven't done anything like this before, so it's going to be interesting as you're going to learn alongside me. So let's get into this. So the first thing we're going to be doing is adding a nutrient layer. So in today's video I'm going to be using some Nutri-Base, and this is a fine substrate that's nutrient rich. It also contains some beneficial self-cleaning bacteria, so it's quite good on that side. It's my first time using this, but I've watched quite a lot of other creators and scapers use this stuff. So we're going to put a little fine dusting on the bottom, and then we'll build our substrate layer from there. So it's time to use some trusty scissors. Cut just where the tear is. I know you can tear it, but I want to... Never mind. Right, so let's crack into this. Tear it just top. Have a little check. Yeah, it's like a sandy kind of texture, as you can see there. Some fine little bits of gravel and rocks in the mix. With this stuff being nutrient dense, I don't want to use an awful lot with this being a small tank, so we're just going to do a little bit of a fine layering. I think that's enough. We're now just going to spread that across the surface area of the tank. Just brush that across, make sure it's covering every inch. I don't really care too much about it being visible on the sides, as I'm not going to be looking from the sides, only from the front, as it's going on the top shelf of my rack. But it's down to personal preference on how you'd like to do that. You can always brush it a little bit back on the sides if need be. Right, so now that we've done our nutrient layer, it's time to cap it off with some sand or gravel, depending on your preference. I'm going to use some sand today. You can always top up the nutrient layer too by adding root tabs on top of this, but in today's video I'm not going to do so, as again it's only a 15 litre and it doesn't require a huge amount of nutrients, especially since we're only doing one style of plant today. So I'm going to be using some basic silver sand by Unipack. This company is now folded, unfortunately, so if there's any alternatives out there, I'm sure there's plenty. Right, let's get pouring. I'm going to make sure to aim for the front first. I'm just going to push this back now and make sure that it's capped off correctly, but we may need some more sand. I've got a feeling we might do, just so we've got a decent capping layer on the Nutri-Base, but also so we've got enough to put our rocks into for the iwagumi setup. Right, just going to pour this sand into the back part of the tank now, build up the height. Now just going to start brushing it back again to the back, creating that slope that I was just talking about earlier. Gives us enough to push the rocks into a bit of a foundation. Right, so we're now done with the substrate layer. I think that's enough in my opinion to plant into / push the rocks into. And we're going to start scaping with the hardscape now, so let's crack on with that. Right, so let's get started with adding our rocks. Now I'm thinking of adding a larger piece, leaning off to the side. And then some smaller pieces underneath. No, I think that rock's too big. After taking a good look at the rocks that we've got and playing around with them, I've decided I'm going to smash these up with a hammer, and then that'll give us a bit more depth, as we're definitely in desperate need of smaller rocks. I don't mind this rock, I actually really like it. There's a lot of texture to it as well, but yeah, like I said, we need smaller pieces for the depth. Right, so here's the rocks we've now got after smashing a couple up. We've got a decent variety of sizes, and hopefully we can make it look even better in the tank. I'm thinking this rock is a little too big for the front, so I'm just going to move that further back. I do like it, and I like the texture and the pattern on it, so I don't want to waste it. Yeah, I think that looks a bit better now. Maybe something back. And then add some little tiny pieces, details. Right, so playing around with it a bit more. Like I just said previously, this has been my biggest procrastination scape in a long time. Usually you've got a brief idea, but I've been playing around with this and I still am now on camera. But I think that's where we're gonna leave the hardscape now. So this is how the hardscape's looking. Quite happy with it. All the pieces have come together now after me procrastinating for so long. But yeah, we're now going to move on to planting the tank, so let's crack on with that. So the plant I've opted for the carpeting plants on this tank is Monte Carlo. This is a staple in the hobby. You can grow it in rocks, wood, or in substrate too. And that is where it gained most of its fame, being a popular carpeting plant. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to be planting all the way around, creating a carpet of Monte Carlo. I'm just going to show you now how to prepare the plants / pots. So what you do with the plant is you take it out the pot, got your label there, just going to pop that to the side, going to give it a bit of a squish, loosen it up all the way around. Sometimes these plants like to root into the pots, you see. Take that off, and now you've got your rock wool, so you want to split that down the middle, take that off as much as you can, take your plant out. Now there is still some rock wool on the roots, so I'm just going to show you how to get that off now in this water. So Monte Carlo's got very small, delicate roots, so we're not going to rag this about now. I'd usually recommend using like a fork or something like that, but because this is delicate and the roots are small, Just going to give it a bit of a swish round, a little gentle pull with these tweezers. Just get all that rock wool off. Give it a little rub as well in between your fingers to break it apart. You want as little rock wool in your tank as possible because it takes a while to break down. It is nutrient dense. So there you go, the roots are clear, and we're going to now start planting this plant into here. So the next step with the Monte Carlo is obviously it's bunched together, and you don't want to just shove the whole plant into the substrate. You want to break it apart, and that's how you start your carpeting effect. So I'm just going to gently pry it apart, not rip any roots or damage the plant, and get it into segments, so that way then I can plant it all across the tank, and then hopefully we'll have a full carpet in the near future. Right, so as you can see, we've prepared our little pieces of Monte Carlo, and we're now going to plant that in. Right, so it's always essential when you plant new plants that you want to grab it where the roots are slightly at an angle, and then what you do is you then plant them in. And we're just going to repeat that all across the tank now. I'm now just giving it a little bit of a spray over before we fill it up. We're now going to fill up the tank. I've used some Optimus as a dechlorinator for this, so let's crack on with that. So the idea of having this plastic bag on is that it doesn't disturb the substrate and uproot the Monte Carlo. We're now going to fill the rest of the tank up on the shelf because it will be a nightmare to lift up there when full. So it's time to add our media into the filter. Now this is a Superfish hang on the back filter, and they come with a cartridge that you slot inside the chamber. Now the good thing is you can remove everything that's on the inside of these and add your own media. So we're going to add a cut sponge into the center, but we already have these ones too that have been sat inside my canister filter of the Roma 125 over there. So we're going to press them in to make sure that we've got some beneficial bacteria, and on top of that we have some ceramic rings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add them first on top. The sponge, right, and then we're just going to slot these on top. Now if I give them a good push in, and then get the other piece of plastic to slot on top, that'll lock them in place. There you go, that's all clicked in together now. So we've got one side that's fresh, another side that's cycled, and cycled media on the inside of this. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just slot that into the chamber. Of course this needs filling up with water too. And I'll do that, I'll scoop some tank water and put it on the inside of this. But there you go. And then you put your lid on once you're done. Now the essential thing too when you're doing a tank setup is making sure you've got a test kit. So what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks is testing the water, making sure it's pristine and okay and ready for our inhabitants. Now I'm about to show you the next step once this filter's plugged in. So obviously our tank isn't cycled yet, so what we're going to be doing is dosing Satis every day until the tank is cycled. Of course, we've added beneficial bacteria to the filter, but that is only going to boost the speed of the cycle, but it's important to make sure that you add your beneficial bacteria too. So the next step is letting the tank cycle for the next few weeks, and we will be back when it is ready. Hi everyone, so we're at the fish shop and you're probably wondering, what am I going to get for this 15-litre tank? So I'm about to show you right now. I thought no better than a cherry shrimp for a little easy beginner setup. With this being a simple aquascape, I thought, you know, why not go for something that's easily accessible? So we're going to get ourselves 10 cherry shrimp for the setup today. Right everyone, as you can see, we're back home now. We've got our shrimp and we're going to float them in the top of the tank for half an hour. Cut the bag open, pour bits of tank water in to make sure that the shrimp are acclimatized to the parameters of the tank, and then we will be releasing them. The first thing I'm going to do is turn the tank light off. As you can see, the lights are off. The shrimp have been floating in the tank now for half an hour. We're going to cut the bag open and pour some tank water into the bag to make sure the parameters are the same as the tank. You can also see here that we've got some new floaters in the tank too. This is Salvinia, and we've been using this to help cycle the tank, remove nitrates and nitrites from the water column, and these will also create natural cover for the shrimp, create shade, help them feel more comfortable in the tank. So let's crack on with pouring some water into this bag. Right, so what we're doing is we're going to use this turkey baster, add a little squirt of water into the bag there, not all of it, and every 5 minutes we'll proceed to do that to get the parameters the same as I was just explaining, and then we will release the shrimp into the tank. We've been pouring water every 5 minutes for 20 minutes into the bag, so it's time to release our shrimp into the tank. So the plan is to leave the tank now for 24 hours. We'll let things settle and I will give you a final shot of the shrimp and the tank. And here we are with the finished result. I'm so happy to finally have shrimp in this tank. The cycle took around 3 weeks in total, probably the longest I've had a tank have to cycle in a long time too. Then again, I've cycled a lot of tanks that have been larger in recent periods. It's the first time keeping cherry shrimp in a long time, to be honest. I've kept blue dream shrimp, but cherry shrimp, yeah, this is really nice to have that pop of red, that colour, and to have shrimp once again. I'm so excited to give you some updates on this tank, how the carpet grows in, how the shrimp grow up, and if we get some breeding action too. I'll keep you all tuned in and updated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, see you later.